The Guardian of the Forest by Tim H. My name is Tim. I live in Belgium, and since 2005 I have studied specific witchcraft and written books about the subject. To better engage in these subjects, I moved to the country south, where deep forest exists. Little did I know that there was a legend living in these forests when I came to live near the woods. The code of the guardian of these forests. If you have good intentions for the woods or its animals, the guardian will help you to find your way if you lose track. But if you have bad intentions, you may stay in these forests forever. When I came to live here, I absolutely was enthralled with the forest and wanted to have better contact with Mother Nature. But one day, I lost my way in the endless forest while hiking. It was starting to get dark, and I noticed there was no sound at all. At some point, I even slipped and fell on the ice and hurt my leg. My leg was in a lot of pain and it was freezing. It was a foggy night, and it was a full moon, so luckily I didn't have to use my iPhone with the light on. But I didn't have it with me anyway, even if I wanted to use it, because I didn't even know that I had forgotten it until I got home the next day. The forest was starting to come alive as I saw eyes everywhere, looking at me in the darkness of the woods. There was a point where I thought I wouldn't make it, until I saw that the eyes were looking at me. They were unlike any other. They were like bright red and glowing. It kept me in this trance that just kept me walking forward, step by step. I was in pain and just wanted to get out of the woods at any chance possible. I remembered those sayings when I was younger. My intentions were pure, and I knew that I had no intention of hurting anything in the woods. So I was hoping that whatever these eyes were attached to were potentially the forest guardian leading me out of here. Without really realizing it, I arrived at a village in the woods and could completely barely remember how I got out of there. I called my dad to tell him where I was, and on my way back I saw all kinds of animals. Foxes, deer, wild boars, they were all looking at me statically at the edge of the forest. This was my encounter with the animal that I believe was the guardian of the forest. Months later, I came to the village of Bohan, where a statue thoroughly described the creature. I asked a local woman who was standing nearby who made it, and she said that this is the legend of our forest, that there was a man over 100 years ago who went out and discovered some sort of creature. When he came back, he was in severe shock and died after 3 days of a heart attack. He said whatever he saw, it could breathe fire, and the creature's description that was inscribed on the statue.
Thank you, Swarm Dweller, for telling my story. This was a story that took place 6 years ago, and now I am right at this moment at the place where it all happened, inside of this forest. Now I know every single tree, every single way. Of course, I will not lose my way that easily anymore. But there is an addition to the story that I wanted to tell you. You know, because a few days ago, they found a dead body at this place. It was a hunter that they found here dead, that was actually missing for quite a few days. Now they found him dead. It was surprisingly, because they never encountered him, even though there were people here that never saw him. No one saw him until he was dead. So he had bad intentions. So I wanted to see this place again because it reminded me as well in the beginning when I came to live here to these forests. I came to live here and I wanted to do a lot of witchcraft, like Swarm Dweller said. I wanted to more engage in the subject. I wanted to be closer to nature. So I wanted to do rituals for the dragon here, intense rituals, because nature and dragons, it goes along hand in hand. But in the beginning, when I wanted to do this, I felt like I shouldn't do it, because there were voices everywhere. Every time when I wanted to do a ritual for the dragon, there were voices everywhere. The forest, it was seemingly coming to life, and every time I was interrupted by something, like even something that was throwing stones, little rocks at me, for chasing me away. So I felt bad every time when I wanted to call out for the dragon. It was like it was not allowed. Until that night, I had the encounter with what I believe was the guardian of the forest. Later, one day later, the forest completely changed for me. Like I was welcome. It felt like home. It felt like that was actually the first time that I could finally do a ritual for my dragon in this forest. That I was accepted in this forest. It felt like I was accepted to the forest. Later on, I came to understand that this was the forest of the Fae. That this was actually from one of these creatures, one of these beings, that is a forest spirit. And of course, I came here from outside, you know, from a big city, and I was, you know, having surrounded by draconic energies. It was something, that was not understood by this forest, so it seems. And so once I had this encounter with the guardian of the forest, it all changed. This forest changed, like I was accepted. I was embraced, and I embraced this forest. We were one, because I had no bad intentions. That is not what a dragon does. But first it seems that I was, you know, seemed to be accepted. It needs to accept you. And that is something what didn't happen to this man that was found dead a few days ago. So, yeah, sometimes they say in this legend that I came to understand, if you do bad intentions, you stay in the forest forever. Maybe his soul is now here forever as well.